Watch every single episode of the Batman 1966 television show, and then we talk about it, and you listen to it. It's been a while. My name's Kendall.
I'm Scott.
Today we're talking about Batman episode 13, kind of appropriately titled The 13th Hat.
Oh, I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, I literally just did reading these notes here.
Yeah.
It originally aired February 23rd, 1966. Written by Charles Hoffman, directed by Norman Foster. Not sure about Norman Foster, but Charles Hoffman. I think he wrote the Zelda episodes. Oh no, Norman Foster directed the Zelda episodes. Charles. Oh, maybe not. Maybe this is his first time writing. 13th Hat. I think we gave it away a couple episodes ago, but we're dealing with the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, a new guest villain.
Yeah. And the Mad Hatter as the villain is not completely unfamiliar to me, but I really only know a couple versions of him.
Yeah, I'm most familiar with him from like Batman the Animated Series, but he does just kind of show up as kind of like a joke minor character in like various Batman media. Like he was in an episode of the most recent season of Harley Quinn as of this recording. Like he kidnapped Batgirl and like they ended up teaming up against him. But like he's clearly there as a joke. But that show's more of a comedy. But yeah. So what do you think about Mad Hatter? Not necessarily this specific version, but just like as a general Batman villain.
So first time I experienced the Mad Hatter.
Well, first time I experienced the Mad Hatter was in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's weird, right? Because he's definitely
it's a very strange idea for a Batman villain, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, the first time I saw him in anything was his first episode of the animated series.
As was mine, yeah.
Which I think is a brilliant. I love that episode.
I remember really liking it. I don't remember much about it. Like I haven't rewatched it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember thinking it was cool as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I also thought it was cool as a kid, probably just because it's like, oh, here are non-Batman characters that I recognize in Batman, and you know, that's fun.
Yeah,
yeah. So his first episode there, he's kind of like is like your like typical like in quotations like nice guy.
Yeah,
and just is like trying to like woo his coworker.
Yeah, whose name was Alice, right?
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland, yeah. And then I know he embraces the Alice in Wonderland aesthetic for some reason because he makes like mind controlled bands that go on your head, which is why like hats were involved in that. I remember bits of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, they worked at like a lab or something.
Yeah, and I think they do like a hedge maze things. Like, 'cause remember Batman had to go through like a couple of like it was essentially like a dungeon in Dungeons and Dragons he had to go through to get to him.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't remember details.
I like that one a lot. I feel like I watched it within the last year.
Yeah. But like, you know, when in the lead up to us sitting down to record this episode, I had mentioned that I was curious why A, they would make the Mad Hatter a Batman villain, and B, like why like the mind control aspect. Because like that's not something from the book, right?
Oh gosh, I've never read Alice in Wonderland.
I've never read it, but I've seen enough adaptations that like he just seems to be like mad, you know, like crazy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find, because you know he was created in what did I say? His first issue is Batman 49, which is in October 1948. So it was a long time ago. It's credited with like, you know, Bob Kane and stuff, but Bob Kane took credit for everybody. So I don't know why. There's no like people that interview comic book writers and stuff back then. So I don't know why this character exists as a Batman villain, and it's kind of strange. I don't know. I guess it's kind of he's like weird and random in like kind of a fun way. I don't think he is a great Batman villain in general.
Yeah, so besides that first episode he's in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I don't think he's like the main bad guy in any other one. I know he's in the show more, but he's usually working with somebody else.
Yeah, and
remember correctly.
Like I don't remember him ever being interesting again. Is he the one who tricks Batman into thinking that he's just Bruce Wayne and Batman is somebody else?
No, that's I think Hugo Strange, isn't it?
Oh, maybe.
I remember that episode being rad, but the only other time I remember him specifically was I think it was a Superman episode where Superman has to pretend to be Batman.
Oh yeah,
like he's just one of the many. He's just one of the villains they kind of like roll through. He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna stop fighting. he slapped Bane away, and this was like, oh, everyone's like, all right, we're done. Like they surrendered immediately.
Yeah, I know he shows up in one of those Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale Batman graphic novels.
Yeah, if he's in Long Halloween, it's a really minor part. But it's been a while since I read those stories that weren't Long Halloween, because that is my favorite Batman comic. But the other stuff's like good, but not. They don't like. That's the one I like to read, like to go back to.
It's a really good one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just like a minor.
Yeah, because there's a lot of villains that kind of have a minor role in that.
Yeah, but in that, I like that Tim Sale kind of does him in the style of those like old Alice in Wonderland books.
Yeah.
Like his head is kind of really big.
Yeah, like Tim Sale, he's definitely in a Tim Sale story because I know exactly what you're talking about visually.
Yeah.
He might have been in the cell next to Calendar Man or something like that. Like he's definitely in it.
Yeah, I remember there being like a little bit of a story. Maybe it's in like
a Haunted Night or something.
Yeah.
That's like a bunch of
like an anthology.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that.
Yeah, I'm grasping at straws to talk about Mad Hatter in general without specifically going into David Wayne's portrayal here, which I thought his name was funny that he's in a Batman show.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like he'd be Batman's brother, But yeah, he's just one of those characters. Like he shows up every once in a while, but like there's no like this is like the Mad Hatter story, you know what I mean? Yeah.
If I was going to point anyone into any direction, it would be that animated series story.
And I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I would do that over like this version as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll save final thoughts.
I guess that's a good segue. Just kind of like get into it.
Yeah.
I will say off the top, like I didn't hate these episodes that were about the with the David Wayne version of the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, there's definitely some fun bits, but there's definitely a reason that those like that main quartet of Batman villains are as popular as they are.
Yeah, and there's a reason that like because a lot of Batman's got a lot of really good villains, and there's a reason nobody talks about the Mad Hatter as one of them.
Yeah,
because even beyond like the main quartet, like there's still people that are like that have good stories, like Mr. Freeze and Two-Face, and Harley Quinn's broken off and become her own franchise on
Yeah, I mean specific to this version of.
Oh yeah, specific to this version, yeah. But even then, like people like I remember Egghead very well. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean that's Vincent Price.
Yeah, well that goes into part of it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in Gotham City. That is until a baker is jumped by the Mad Hatter and his two goons.
Yeah.
Did you get the name of those guys?
It was like Haber and Dasher or something. They were a combined hat name. I forget exactly what it was.
I think it was like Cappy and then something else.
Yeah.
The Mad Hatter is busting right out of the gate.
Steals his hat.
Yeah, steals this baker's hat and then this little
what did they call it? Like instant mesmerizer or something?
super instant mesmerizer.
Yeah. Yeah, like his hat pops open and like these two like cartoon eyes are in it, and they shoot like cartoon lightning bolts into people's eyes, and it just makes them knocked out. So they steal his hat and then they steal him.
Yeah, and this happens twice more.
Yeah, so I think it's 3 times they show different scenarios here, right?
Yeah, a hunting cap gets stolen, and
Some business guy's hat.
yeah,
It has a name. They said what it is, but it's just like 60s man hat.
who gives a care?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We get the old familiar scene of the cops just being so stumped.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's the Mad Hatter on this kidnapping spree.
Yeah, didn't they say he just got paroled or something too?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people are stealing hats and getting kidnapping and things, which is weird that they even know that the hats are missing, because they steal the hat and then they immediately take the person that has the hat.
Yeah. Very goofy.
Yeah.
I guess the Mad Hatter isn't really trying to be secretive about
No, he's
this.
not subtle. He's very over the top.
So they decide to call Batman. And Batman has a personal stake in this because he was a witness at the Mad Hatter's trial.
Which is kind of a cool detail. And I kind of want to see, like, after Batman, helps arrest these people, like, the process, what happens next. Like, that sounds kind of interesting for this universe. I don't want to see that in, like, regular Batman stuff. But
yeah, but honestly, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense how they have this universe set up, since he's like a deputized like law figure.
Yeah.
Like the arresting police officers like show up in the trial to give their account of what happened. And it's wild because like nobody knows who Batman is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like in the more serious takes of the DC universe, probably a lot of criminals get away with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Because even in other comics, like some people rob a bank and then like the cops show up and there's just a couple goons tied up in spider web.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like Spider-Man's not there to testify.
Yeah, because like say you were regular Joe, and someone was running past you, a Spider-Man thing. Someone was running past you still with like sacks of money that they stole, and like you tripped them. And then that caught people to like be caught. Like you'd probably have to you'd have to at least give a statement.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, I guess in these big superhero like shared worlds, there's probably like laws involved with this stuff. Like their laws probably can't be 1-to-1 with how ours work.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Which is, why I think superhero comics could stand to be a little more creative.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like, I would really like to explore that stuff. I just wish the She-Hulk show was better.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Well, like my favorite. All right, so we're getting off topic a little bit, but my favorite part of season 2 of Netflix's Daredevil is after he beats the Punisher. Like, then the show becomes about the trial of the Punisher, and like I thought that was a lot more interesting because Matt Murdock's a lawyer by day and he's a Daredevil by night. I don't know. I found that more interesting than like how much can they punch each other.
Speaking of Batman and Daredevil,
yeah,
this is way off topic,
yeah.
Which goes to show how interesting
yeah
this episode is. I'm reading this comic called Nat Rat.
I don't know that one.
On the surface level, it's a Batman parody.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like maybe it's like also trying to be a Frank Miller parody.
I can see that. I mean, Frank Miller's got a pretty iconic runs on both those characters. Oh, Batman and Daredevil did cross over. So let's say they should definitely do that, but they have.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's called King of New York.
Interesting.
It's got a 2.9 out of 5 rating on Goodreads. And it's written by Alan Grant, from Jurassic Park.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, and it's the sequel to Batman Daredevil, Eye for an Eye. I was just like, I was just thinking in my head, I was like, why didn't those guys ever cross over? They would be like a good mix. But anyway, yes, that shows exactly how interesting I was just telling Kendall before we started, this is probably the episode I have the least amount of notes on.
I'll be carrying us through,
Yeah.
ladies, gentlemen, they, thems.
Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, as they like to say.
The cops decide to call Batman. I think that's
Yeah.
where we left off.
Yeah, as we're saying that he was a witness at the trial.
So, I mean, I guess it's a different kind of trial.
Yeah.
But it's just like interesting that like the Riddler wanted to bring Batman to court to expose his secret identity.
Yeah. Well, part of that I think was because like he was assaulted, like he wasn't doing crimes, and Batman just like attacked him.
Yeah. All right. At Stately Wayne Manor, Bruce and Dick are looking at this bust that Bruce Wayne apparently spent a lot of money on. He figures maybe the great sculptor Carnado might have sculpted it hundreds of years ago or something. I don't know who Carnado is. Do you?
No, I never heard of it, and I wasn't interested enough to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about sculpture.
I don't know a lot about art. I just know what I like.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that giant painting of Batman and Robin that they jumped through when they fought the Riddler last time.
That's art.
Yeah.
Aunt Harriet, she just barges in.
As she does.
Fuck what Bruce and Dick are talking about. She needs advice on
OT
tea ceremony or something.
Yeah, something she's doing.
Meanwhile, the bat phone rings. Alfred tries to get Bruce and Dick away, and they make up this lie about seeing these birds.
Yeah, they had to go birding.
Yeah. So apparently there's been sightings of a black-footed albatross and a fork-tailed petrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how rare those birds are. I should ask some of my birding friends.
Do you have birding friends?
I have two friends who don't know each other.
Yeah.
Who are real into it.
That's cool. You should put them together. My cousin's mother is really into that. Like last time they were in the area, like part of their trip, they like went to like some of our like nature area, like reserves around here. And I was like, that's cool. Like I'm gonna go do other things. And I know albatrosses and petrels like are types of birds. I don't know if those specific ones exist. I don't know if they like would be in the ecosystems that like at the same time. So I don't know if, because we don't know exactly where Gotham City is. So
yeah,
I gotta imagine Aunt Harriet probably knows as much as we do. So that sounds plausible enough.
Yeah, she's easily fooled. I was gonna say it's weird that I've never met anyone who was into birding until I moved to a major city away from nature.
Away from all the birds.
Yeah, pretty weird.
Because what do you guys got there? Pigeons?
We get our fair share of birds.
Okay.
There are some patches of nature out this way.
Well, I know in like certain like cities like New York and stuff, like you get like peregrine falcons, like things that go high because they have the bigger skyscrapers.
We get some small birds. There's some variety.
Okay.
Batman and Robin, they do their thing, go down the bat poles, get to police headquarters. And by the time they arrive, they find out that the fire chief has been kidnapped.
Yeah. His hat was stolen and he was kidnapped.
Very good hat to steal.
I want to say this right now about this story that they're telling. It seems so random. Like it's like the Mad Hatter's plan seems so random and stupid. And they keep revealing like little bits that like, oh, this actually kind of makes sense like as a revenge plot. But like people should have been way more realize this stuff like almost instantly, because as of currently, the people that we saw him kidnap aren't like, oh no, the Mad Hatter, you're out to get me. They're just like, hey, this guy's annoying me. And then they get mesmerized.
Yes, like, none of them seem to recognize him.
And them as a group of people, even to the police, like before they call Batman, should have been suspicious. Like that this group of, is it's not a random group of people that he's attacking.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that kind of goes through this entire story.
It does. Like it's we don't really get, I think, a lot of the revelations that make some of this plan make sense until like the real back end of it.
Yeah, it's like there's one more person to kidnap, and they're like, oh, he must be kidnapping. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers, yeah. Like you should be watching the episodes before you do these if you're interested.
He's well, yeah, they reveal it in the first episode, right?
Part one. So he's getting all of the jurors on that trial, and then the 13th hat is he wants to get Batman.
Steal his cowl.
And like also kill him. So that's what they're doing. But like, you know, so
oh yeah, he talks about that in the very next scene.
Yeah. So right now, when Batman and Robin are at police headquarters, they're informed about this. They mentioned that like, oh, he's out to get you, Batman. He swore revenge. And then I thought this line was so fucking cool, where everyone's like, oh no, he's gonna get you, Batman. Like he threatened revenge. And Batman's like, people rarely die from words or whatever he said. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Or rarely die from threats. Yeah. Because he's like, I'm not worried about it. He's not going to be able to follow through. And also, I'm sure he's been threatened a lot of times over the years.
Definitely. And some people have acted on those,
Yeah, he's been in he said this is the 13th episode. We've seen at least 6 life or death situations with him so far.
Yep. He does say he like, again, talks about like, his hope for rehabilitation.
Yeah.
I just love that that's like a big part of this Batman.
I love that that's a big part of this Batman because it's not about punishment. It's about, because he's so like wholesome and good. Like it's about making people better and like contributing to society. Yeah. And that's how our criminal reform situation should be, ideally. But that's a different podcast. We can get on a soapbox later if we want.
We cut to the Mad Hatter's lair. He's, of course,
his hat factory. He keeps saying it real weird. I can't even do a good impression of it because it's like every time he says, I'm like, why does he say it like that?
Yeah, he reveals that he has he's kidnapping jurors. He already has a bunch of them that were kidnapped.
Yeah, he has like most of them,
He has some dummies made that he's like putting all of their hats on.
Yeah.
They're in like a fake like jurors
box. Yeah.
And like there's a bust without a hat at a witness stand, and that's where Batman's cowl is gonna go.
Yeah, I think it's he's got like a Batman costume on. That's gonna be his 13th hat, is to get Batman's cowl.
Know what I found interesting?
What's that?
Well, so here we're introduced to what was her name?
Oh, his main gal.
His main gal. I believe her name is Lucy.
Yeah, the obligatory 60s babe.
Oh, Lisa is her name.
Yeah. So
first off, everyone, we should pour some out for the actress who played Lisa.
She's no longer with us.
I believe she died the day we dropped our Christmas special.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, she just like in between episodes, she just passed.
That sucks.
Yeah. But the part of the episode I thought was interesting was Lisa doesn't call the Mad Hatter the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
She calls him Jervis.
Yeah, and they do mention his name's Jervis Tetch a couple of times throughout the episode.
Yeah.
This is our first villain like identity, right?
So Mr. Freeze
had an
identity.
Yes.
But they just called him Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Like they spoke his real name like 3 times across both of his episodes, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't remember what his name was because it's not Victor Freeze.
Yeah.
It was,
I think Professor Himmel.
Something like that, yeah.
Anyway, that's not important. But yeah, I do think it's interesting that he keeps his real name.
Did they call Penguin Oswald Cobblepot? I don't think they did.
No.
They didn't say Edward Nygma. Joker doesn't really have a real name, like in the comics and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
I mean,
It's
Zelda the
nothing to
Great.
take too seriously,
Yeah,
but
I was supposed to say, well, Zelda the Great's name is in her villain name too.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
that's not even her villain name. It's
You
her
know what I mean? Like,
show
yeah.
name. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
I didn't think about that till you brought it up just now.
Yeah, does Jervis have a little more of his humanity maybe than the rest of them? He's still pretty crazy.
Yeah, I would say I don't think so.
But it's just I don't know, it's weird.
He's also got an over the top themed villain lair and themed henchmen and like a crazy revenge plan.
That's true. But
Yeah.
I always think about this one scene from the Batman 66 movie.
Yeah.
Got to bring it up every
Bring it
episode.
up every time, but yeah.
Where the Penguin is like sneaking onto like he's sneaking into the United World building and he like a guard is like, hey, stop. And this is like, my name is the Penguin, and just like gasses him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you believe that's who you are? Anyway, back to this episode. I feel like we're going to be taking a lot of detours.
Maybe that'll be fun.
Mad Hatter wants to mutilate Batman by turning him into a hat.
So like this whole series of like hat making conveyor belt, A, doesn't make any sense to make hats, and B, is like the goriest descriptions I've ever heard, and I was shocked to hear them in this show. He's
especially for such a wholesome family show.
Yeah, like holy crap. It's like the last time they used the conveyor belt was just like, oh, you're gonna put him in a furnace. It's like, oh no, yeah, fire's scary. I get that. That's something you can wrap your head around as a kid. But like, he's like, oh yeah, this thing's for skinning rabbits. It's gonna skin him, and then this thing that pulls felt apart, it's gonna like rip his guts out, and then there's gonna go through this thing of like spikes and stuff, and it's just gonna grind him up, and then he's gonna go into this vat of acid and be dissolved. I'm like, and then he'll be a hat, and I'll wear him around, and I was like, oh my god, this is like real life serial killer like insanity.
Yeah.
And he's this wacky little Mad Hatter guy with goofy little eyeballs that come out of his top hat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. The hat making device is it's like a Tim Burton apparatus.
Yeah, it's like something from Pee-wee.
Yeah, it just like shouldn't work. But I guess it works in the context of the universe.
And again, he's in a hat factory. Why don't the cops immediately investigate that?
You would think.
Yeah, because like Penguin's in an umbrella factory. Joker was he at an amusement park?
I think you're thinking about the Scooby-Doo episode we did.
Where was his lair then? And
oh wait, no, it was at an amusement
I thought it was
right?
an amusement park. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Riddler keeps being in like sewers and abandoned power plants and stuff. Not really like Riddler like things. Like he was in a subway station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like
he keeps having the vermin themed like
that's right.
People. So yeah, it makes sense they're like in underground, like scuzzy places. Anyway, it's just this isn't a super engaging episode. It's just something you think about then as you're not being totally engaged.
At the convention hall, where the fire chief was abducted, Batman is questioning a woman, a scantily clad woman.
Yeah, she's in like a French maid's-esque outfit. I don't know how to describe it, like a Playboy bunny type thing, but it's not that.
Yeah, and her name is Babette.
Mm-hmm. Of course, she's super
the hat Batman. Check girl.
Yeah, she's super smitten.
Yeah, she can barely hold herself together in Batman's presence.
Women see Batman, and then that's the end of them. It reforms Zelda the Great.
I love how like when we get the establishing shot of the convention hall, there's just like a group of like civilians like all up in the Batmobile's grill.
I think, yeah, that would be really exciting, you know?
It just adds a little bit to the world.
And I like that they showed that when they got out of the Batmobile, they put on like their anti-theft like thing that they did in the first episode.
Yeah, they do bring that back. Babette, I feel like she doesn't really give any information we, as the viewers, wouldn't have known from watching him do this same thing.
Yeah, it was just the Mad Hatter stole him. Like we saw, like as a viewer, we saw that a bunch of times.
Yeah. And just like, oh, he used
Like
some
the
machine
thing.
in his hat,
Yeah.
which Batman and Robin automatically know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if I had some kind of crazy super technology that instantly knocked people out, I'd use it all the time in my super crimes.
The Bat phone in the Batmobile rings. They find out that the Mad Hatter has been spotted outside of Mason Magda,
Yeah.
which is a high society hat shop,
Mm-hmm.
and also where Lisa is moonlighting as a hat clerk.
Yeah, she's like her assistant or salesperson or something.
Yeah, seemingly all for,
Just to leave a clue.
yeah, which
Make
I
sure
guess
Batman gets it.
does
Yeah.
lead into like kind of the climax of the Mad Hatter's plan. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But like while watching it, I was like, oh, why does she even need to be here?
Yeah. I guess just yeah, it's I was supposed to call him Joker. Oh my god. The Mad Hatter could easily just leave that clue very conspicuously.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if it's somebody else, it's like, oh, he dropped this. It's not as suspicious.
Yeah.
Like as like a trap, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense now. Just like while watching it, I was like, none of the other victims needed
Yeah,
this lady to work with them.
well, we do know he eventually does want to get Batman, so
Yes. Yeah, it makes sense. If you couldn't put it together from our conversation right there, Mad Hatter shows up, steals and kidnaps
the owner's like hat and then her person. And there's like rich old lady that was there being a customer, and like she screams and like follows them out. And I was surprised by that.
Yeah, her name is Hermione Montigo.
Yeah. The
Uh,
only reason I remember her first name because it was like, oh, like in Harry Potter.
yeah, she's just some rich lady. She blames the kidnapping on communism.
Which I thought was pretty funny because the six.
Communist's a bad name, though, you know.
And then Batman's, I forget what he said. He had like a retort for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah, it was something like, oh, like, don't necessarily be blind to the issues right in front of you. Damn, I wonder if that was some kind of commentary.
I'm sure it was. Like, that's also like it still works as a message.
Yeah.
Yeah. As person now in what's now 2023, I enjoyed this show way more than I ever did when I was young. For like stuff like that.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Like we were talking about the reform angles and stuff. Now, obviously, like the main reason I enjoy the show is like the goofy camp stuff, but
yeah,
I appreciate that they had these like kind of forward thinking things that are still relevant, almost 60 years later.
Yeah, very true.
Shows what a hero Batman is. He even gives communists the benefit of the doubt.
Lisa posing as an innocent hat salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
Gives the clue. She's like, I hope this helps. And Robin just says, clues are always helpful.
Which is not untrue.
Yeah, it just seems like something an idiot would say.
Well, that's why
like Homer Simpson would say that.
Yeah. I mean, Robin's, I think that's supposed to be like, he's supposed to be youthful and naive.
Yeah, for sure.
It was awkward, but I enjoyed it.
The clue is a business card for Octave Marbel.
Yeah, so it's a sculptor who turns out just happens coincidentally have been sculpting Batman. So the reason they're making a sculpture of Batman is Warden Crichton, showing up again, at least in conversation, which is fun. Wants to have a statue of Batman at the prison to inspire criminals to become better, and I'm like, I don't think that would work.
It would just piss them off.
Yeah, like you're just begging for that to be vandalized.
Yeah, I wonder if we're supposed to read into it that far, or if this is them like once again poking fun at Warden Crichton.
I think they're supposed to be poking fun of him, but Batman's clearly going along with it.
Yeah,
like the other way to take it is like a dystopian like RoboCop, like stay out of trouble kind of thing, or like I'm gonna come get you,
Judge Dredd.
Yeah. So obviously Batman knows where that is since he's been posing for him.
My next note just says rash of car thefts. Do you have any idea why?
Oh yeah, because when they park the Batmobile at that guy's studio, they do the anti-theft thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which they're like, yeah, that's why they should be doing it anyway. Because there's anyone can just hop into the Batmobile. It's like wide open.
Yeah. It's a convertible, or not even. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't have a roof, which again is still my favorite Batmobile, and that's part of why I think it's cool. But if you're going to be going to like crime-ridden areas, being a vigilante, but because obviously it's going to come up like it's Chekhov's car alarm.
Yeah, they only show it when it's gonna be used.
But it's cool that it's like like as a prop. It's a cool thing that it just has a story function you can just use in future stories.
Yeah, definitely.
But so Batman and Robin are there. Mad Hatter has replaced whatever his name was. You just said it. I can't remember.
Active Marvel.
Yeah. And is trying to trick Batman into taking his cowl off for the sculpture of him.
Yeah, Mad Hatter gets really into like being disguised as this sculptor.
This is the most fun part of his performance, in my opinion, is him doing this over the top French accent.
Yeah.
Like being really obvious that like, just give me your cowl, just do it. Again and again while Batman's looking for a hat guy. And like Batman also knows who this person is, and like, is it immediately like, drop your game, Hatter?
Yeah, it's pretty weird, especially since in the episode previous to this, there was like another imposter scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batman is on to them. He's just playing along.
Yeah.
And we get a episode 1 fight scene.
Yeah, those are always fun. This one had onomatopoeia too. That doesn't usually happen.
Yeah. During the fight, the Mad Hatter tries to use his super
mesmerizer.
Yeah, super instant mesmerizer. That's what it's called. Tries to use it on Batman.
Oh yeah.
And Batman like holds up the bat reflector, which is just
a little mirror. Yeah.
In the shape of a bat.
Yeah. And like, I thought that was great.
And it bounces the beams back at the Mad Hatter, but the Mad Hatter dodges them.
Yeah, it hits Robin, who's smashing stuff behind him. Because that's one of the things, like as soon as they enter this room, like, oh, there's gonna be a fight scene. It's like there are so many things to break. I've noticed now.
Sure.
Yeah. So it knocks Robin out.
Yeah, Robin's KO'd, and Batman finds himself under a huge pipe full
of like instant plaster, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why he would have this set up as a sculptor. just to do this.
Who knows? I don't know anything about sculpting. So
yeah, maybe this is a very common practice and we're just uncultured.
Yeah. Batman gets plastered.
Oh, were you sitting on that one?
It just came to me.
Nice.
Just looks very sticky.
Yeah.
But maybe it'd be fun to be covered in plaster. I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be covered in real plaster, but like whatever they were gooping him in. Like I've worn that, not maybe that specific. I have a 60s Batman costume. Like that's already like not very fun to be in. And then you get covered in this like goopy nastiness. Like, ugh.
God, here we go.
And anyway, Batman becomes entombed in plaster. Is this the end for Batman?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Batman's entombed in plaster. Narrator comes up, and for the first time, we get it.
Yeah.
In its complete form. Tune in tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Super iconic.
Indeed.
So, I don't know. What did you think of this episode?
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it either. We have been kind of down on it, but like I think it's been the least interesting one so far.
Yeah, it's kind of by the numbers. We see him kidnap like 4 people in the exact same way.
Like I think not revealing what his scheme is to the audience yet, like it kept me from being like, well, he's just stealing dudes that like kidnapping people that have hats. It's stupid.
Well, no, they did reveal it.
Did they? Oh,
was-
because I know he mentioned. Because did they set up in this one that there's like the presidential hat parade or whatever it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's going to be the ransom.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, and I guess that's kind of interesting. Like,
I don't know, just-
dudes are like, hey, like, how does this plan necessarily make us any money?
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that some goons were like had some agency like that. But I don't know. Mad Hatter's gimmick just isn't nearly as fun or interesting as everyone else's so far.
I agree. What do you think about this version of the Mad Hatter himself so far?
He's fine.
Do you like him better or worse than Mr. Freeze? I personally can't tell. I think Mr. Freeze had a lot more freeze, like ice puns.
Yeah. I think they're about the same. Mr. Freeze had a really good monologue in his second half that I think helps elevate him a lot. Yeah, him, Mad Hatter, Mr. Freeze, and like Zelda the Great are kind of like all on a similar level for me. We're like, they're fine. It's hard to compete with like the Riddler, Penguin, and Joker in this series so far, you know?
It really is.
And it's no slight against any of the writing or the performances, you know, the actors. Like I think, like I said, I don't hate it. I'm sure that we'll eventually get to episodes. I'm like, this was hard to sit through. Like it was not hard to sit through.
Yeah, definitely not.
It just wasn't as compelling as some of the episodes we've had so far.
Yeah, just very by the numbers.
Yeah.
There's no Batman Returns, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the most different episode we've seen so far.
Real weird.
Tonal shift. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll never see the Penguin again because he died.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say about the 13th hat.
Yeah, sorry if this is a short one, y'all. I don't know. If you want a real good Batman 66 experience, maybe watch any of the other episodes we covered.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe next week I'll turn it around. I mean, I guess me and you know.
Yeah, we know because we're about to record that, but
yeah. Wait, you can't tell them how the sausage is made.
yeah. Or how the hat is crafted. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, well, first you got to rip the skin off and then slice up the guts.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from the episode. I was like, oh my God, how'd they get away with this in the 60s? Granted, they're not showing anything, but like just talking about that, I'm like, that's nasty. I don't think they would do that on Dragnet.
Never watched Dragnet.
I mean, it's just a cop procedural. They're all the same show.
Yeah, wasn't Dan Aykroyd in the movie?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
He played like one of the main cops.
Well, let's find out.
Am I thinking of a different film adaptation?
You might be. Oh, you know, he played Joe Friday. Tom Hanks was in one too. There's apparently a couple of Dragnet like movies. But yeah, the one 1987 has Dan Aykroyd, Tom Hanks, Christopher Plummer. I'd never seen it.
Me neither.
It looks like it's more of a comedy like take. I know the original Dragnet was like serious. I watched some episodes of it. Like,
Yeah.
back in my day. But anyway, yeah, this is the end of our Dragnet podcast.
Yeah, join us next week for Dragnet 66.
Yeah.
Episode 14. Batman Stands Pat.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll see you there. Same Batcast time, same Batcast channel. We're gonna go record that right